thrilled to see. It's not about your looks, it's not about your job title. It's about a handful of very specific communication skills. And today, we are going to break down exactly what those are so you can be that person. I mean, this slide says it all, right? There's a fundamental difference here. One person has to announce their own arrival, their own value. The other person's value is announced for them by everyone else in the room. The skills we're talking about today, they are all designed to make you the person on the right. So let's dive in. So where do we start? Well, it all begins with earning respect, but not by demanding it or trying to look impressive. It's much simpler and much more powerful. It all comes down to the way you speak to people and making them feel genuinely important. The first technique is what's called you communication, and it's built on a really basic human truth. We are all the main character in our own story. So by simply making the other person the subject of your sentences, by centering them, you tap directly into that. You're acknowledging their story, and it instantly makes them feel seen. Okay, check out the difference here. It seems small, but it's huge. This is a good question. That's fine, right? But you're complimenting the question. It's abstract. Now look at the other side. You asked a really good question. Boom! Now you're complimenting the person. That little shift from this to you makes the compliment personal, direct, and 100 times more impactful. Now here's a real pro move. What do you do with people who get a little awkward or skeptical about direct praise? You use the third-party compliment. So let's say you tell a mutual friend, Sharma has such incredible integrity. Why is that so powerful? Because when that compliment eventually gets back to Sharma, it feels 100% genuine. You had absolutely nothing to gain by saying it to someone else. It's a game changer. All right, next up. Oh, man, we have all been here. The conversation just hits a brick wall, the silence gets super awkward, and your mind is just a total blank. What on earth do you say next? Well, it turns out there's a brilliantly simple technique for this exact moment. Yeah, this is that moment of pure conversational dread, isn't it? The pressure is on to say something witty, something smart, anything at all. But what if the solution wasn't to come up with a single new thought of your own? It's called the parroting technique, and it is almost laughably simple. You literally just take the last 2 or 3 words they said, and you repeat them back as a question. The beauty of this is you don't need to know anything about the topic. You're just gently tossing the conversational ball right back to them. So the source gives this perfect example. His friend Phil picks him up from the airport. Instead of awkward silence, he just starts parroting. Came from the theater. The theater? Yeah, it was a great show. A great show? And this goes on. The conversation flowed the entire ride home. And here's the kicker. Phil later told him it was the best conversation they'd ever had, and the speaker barely said anything original. Okay, let's tackle the one question we all get, and most of us dread. So, what do you do? The temptation is to give a boring one-word answer like lawyer or marketer. But your goal here isn't just to state a job title. It's to actually spark a conversation. This slide has the secret. You tailor your answer to your audience. Don't just say, I'm a lawyer. If you're talking to a new mom, you might say, I help other moms get the full maternity leave they deserve. To a business owner, I help companies avoid really expensive legal trouble. See what's happening? You're not giving them a title, you're telling them a story that actually matters to them. I love this next idea. Think about it this way. You would never go to a party without thinking about what you're going to wear, right? So why would you go to that same party without thinking about what you're going to say? You need to prepare what we'll call your conversation wardrobe. And look, this is way easier than it sounds. We're talking 15 minutes before you head out the door. Just scan the news, find 1 or 2 interesting little things that are going on. That's it. That's all you need. You now have your conversation starters. And when you combine that with the parroting technique we just learned, you are basically unstoppable. Okay. So we've talked about starting conversations and keeping them going. But let's flip the script for a second. What about gracefully getting out of a conversation you don't want to be in? Especially when someone is being a little pushy or nosy. For that, you need something called the broken record technique. So imagine someone is trying to pry into a topic you don't want to discuss, like asking about something personal between you and your ex. Your first move is to give a polite, firm, and closed-ended answer, just like this one on the slide. It answers nothing, but it sets your boundary. But of course, they don't get the hint. They ask again, maybe phrasing it a little differently. Now, your natural instinct might be to explain yourself, get defensive, or add more details. Don't. The key here is to repeat the exact same sentence in the exact same calm tone of voice. And when they push a third time, and they might, you do it again. By this point, the message is crystal clear. You are a polite, calm, unbreakable wall. There is no new information coming from you on this topic. The conversation is over. Now for our final skill. And this one is probably the most subtle and maybe the most powerful. Have you ever met someone for the first time and just instantly clicked? It feels like you've known them for years? Well, that's not just random magic. It's a specific technique, and you can actually learn to create that feeling on purpose. It's called echoing. It's all about listening very closely to the specific words, the jargon, and the phrases people use, and then gently mirroring them back in your own sentences. By speaking their language, you create this deep, subconscious feeling of familiarity and rapport. You're not just building a connection, you're manufacturing it. This table nails it. A lawyer works at a firm, an advertiser works at an agency, a radio jockey works at a station. Sure, they're all basically offices, but when you use their specific word, it signals that you're an insider,